Hi everybody, this is Jessica. I'd like to briefly go over the lesson plan template that you are required to complete for pre-student teaching. I'm probably going to break this down into a few shorter videos, but first I just want to talk about the value of lesson planning. While you really only have to do the one for pre-student teaching, most CTs expect them for all lessons that they let you teach because it is kind of like a good faith that you have your stuff together, right? That you are going to deliver on the promise, right? So even if your CT doesn't explicitly say, I want a lesson plan, there's a good chance that they're just expecting you to do that, someone like me has already told you to do it. So lesson plans are important. They might not be as detailed as the School of Ed lesson plan template, but they need to exist. And really, lesson planning is so valuable. It's kind of like it was always my favorite, not the favorite part, but one of my favorite parts, because it's where all my good ideas, my creative juices kind of got flowing. And it reveals the target that you're going to have to meet as a teacher. So a good lesson plan is going to have or require you to address standards so you know what you're obligated to do, student learning outcomes, right? And those are valuable because at the end of your lesson, you should be able to assess whether or not students know or are able to do those things that you promised, right? Procedures, which can be hard to write as a new teacher because you don't think through necessarily like all the things that could happen and what you need to do, but I want you to be really minute about it. Meaning, if you're going to pass out papers or take roll call or attendance or whatever it is, even something tiny like that that's non-instructional, how long is that going to take you? I want you to map it down to anything greater than like 5 minutes, really. Probably anything greater than 2 minutes, to be honest. So you can kind of add it up and see how long are you going to be able to sustain that lesson. Do you have enough time or not enough? Too much time? And kind of get a gauge of where you're at. Plus, it helps with reflection later that you can say at what point do you speak too long or you get off track or students start controlling the classroom. Lesson planning with time breakdowns in the procedures section is super valuable. You should be writing your lesson plans such that if you had to give it to a sub, they would stand a chance surviving that day. Now, I know some of you, especially science teachers, always say, I would never leave a lab for a sub. And I need you to hear me here, right? Because it's good practice for you to be able to drill down to every individual step that you're going to make, right? And two, I will tell you for the EdTPA that they are expecting that kind of drill down lesson plan because your reviewer will be a teacher in your discipline or a retired teacher, but they will not necessarily know the content perfect. And the last thing you want to do is require your EdTPA score to have to fill in the blanks or figure it out or make it up. They're not going to appreciate that. And I promise you a lower score because you didn't have a detailed lesson plan. Okay. So again, your lesson plan is going to have standards, student objectives, procedures. It allows you to think through differentiation. What will you do for different individuals and groups of kids in your class? You are expected to differentiate, right? Our doctors do not deliver the same treatment to all patients. Teachers do not deliver the same treatment to all students, right? And then assessment is my last that's right. That's what a lesson plan is good for because you need to have kind of informal or formative assessments built into your lesson, right? Where you just gauge how students are capturing the material. Are they taking in what you're delivering? And that will help you gauge next steps, right? And kind of be able to adjust on the fly. Right now, you're probably not so good at adjusting on the fly, but as you gain experience, you're going to have moments where you feel so great because you can see something, recognize it, that students aren't ready to move on, and do something about that in the moment. And that's a pretty amazing feeling as a teacher. So if you can kind of get all those parts down, that's really the true benefit of lesson planning, right? It gives teachers such a clear blueprint for what they have to do with all of these kids all day long. So in the next couple videos, I'm going to explain the different parts of the lesson plan according to the School of Ed lesson plan template. So go ahead and click down to the next one, and we will jump into looking at standards.